This is Transqat, a safe space to stand. Transgender issues, queer people, respectful conversations. I'm host Claire McCarthy. Welcome to Transqat. Welcome to the first in a series of 5 shows celebrating Middletown Pride. My name's Claire McCarthy. I'm the producer and host of Transqat the podcast. You can learn more about me and the show at transqat.com. That's TRANSQAT.com. These 5 programs are a collaborative effort among Transqat, WESU, and Middletown Pride. In addition to this on-air broadcast, you can find them at the Middletown Pride website, middletownpride.org. And finally, you can access a fuller version of the conversation at the Transqat website, our YouTube channel, and everywhere podcasts are available. You are listening to WESU 88.1 FM, Middletown, Connecticut.
Let's face it, life is scary. We face so many problems: war, terror, violence, disease, and commercial radio stations.
The constant playing of the same songs over and over again destroyed my ears and my sanity.
Having my favorite songs interrupted by commercials made me a compulsive shopper. The viewpoints, they're so homogenous.
Commercial radio killed my dog.
You can help these poor people by donating to WESU, commercial-free community radio, combating the terror of commercial radio since 1939. Donate now online at www.wesufm.org.
Using the chainsaw, do not attempt to stop the chain with your hands. When using the chainsaw, do not attempt to stop the chain with your hands. When using the chainsaw, do not attempt to stop the chain with your hands.
This message brought to you by WESU Middletown.
Joining me today are Stephen Kovach, the chair of Middletown's LGBTQIA+ Commission, and Brianna Skowera, organizer of Middletown Pride. So I've invited the two of you here for a sales pitch. It occurred to me in preparation for this conversation that Middletown fits the meter for the Mickey Mouse song. So MIDDLETOWN, Middletown. You're not jumping in and singing with me.
There's never a Mickey Mouse Club, girl. It does fit.
You could. I'm giving you this for free. This is free creativity that I'm sharing with Middletown Pride.
I appreciate that.
Well, welcome both of you. Let's start with some introductions if we could.
So my name is Stephen Kovach. I am chair of the LGBTQIA+ Commission. I honestly can't remember when I started actually being on the commission, but I have a feeling I'm in at least my second term serving. And I'm also a city council member as well. And I live and work in Middletown.
And have you ever sung the Middletown to the tune of the Mickey Mouse Club theme?
I don't. That's the first time I've heard of the Mickey Mouse Club theme song.
Oh, Stephen, you're making me feel very old. Bree, over to you.
Hi, I'm Brianna Skowera. You can call me Bree. I am a queer trans woman. I am the organizer of Middletown Pride. I also am employed as Middletown's Director of Information Systems. I have been volunteering with the city's LGBTQI+ Commission since late 2022 and have been organizing monthly meetings and events for the commission. In December of 2024 into January of 2025, I was formally appointed to the commission and assumed responsibilities as organizer, taking over for our founder, Christopher Ford.
And what is the date of Middletown Pride this year?
Middletown Pride is always the first Saturday of June, so it'll be June 7th. We start at about noon, and festivities and demonstrations go to 10 p.m. 2 days before, on June 5th, we will have our Pride kickoff event, which will include a rededication of the Pride crosswalk featured prominently on Main Street. We'll have a mayoral proclamation, the raising of the Progress Pride flag, and also a pop-up shop selling merchandise for Pride so folks can be showing their pride even before the festival.
How many Middletown Prides have there been to date? I know there was a break during COVID, but
This is our 7th annual.
And we keep growing year after year. Last year we topped 30,000 attendees, and we're hoping to increase even more this year.
logistically, what kind of challenges does that present? That 30,000 is almost the field for the Boston Marathon. Boston fields about 45 or 50, I think.
30,000 is 3/5 the population of the city of Middletown. So logistically, there's not as many challenges as one might imagine. First, Middletown Pride is a series of programming organized by the city's LGBTQI plus commission with our partners, which includes Middlesex Health, Wesleyan University, and the Middlesex Chamber of Commerce. The Middlesex Chamber of Commerce is a tremendous ally. So they have decades of experience organizing and running logistics for Main Street parades and events like our car show, our Holiday on Main. So they are well experienced in coordinating with the various city departments like the police department, the fire department, the health department, the Department of Public Works, as well as our parks department, in order to set up, secure, and isolate the areas. So effectively, this is kind of a wonderfully well set routine for us with small changes year to year for improvement's sake.
That takes clear communication amongst a number of departments you just listed off there. How do you make sure that happens?
Planning for the Pride Fest is actually a year-round activity.
Right.
So during the run-up, we meet with our partners at the chamber on a weekly basis, and we set priorities. And then the organizer and other individuals of the LGBTQI plus commission take on tasks to coordinate with individual departments as well as stakeholders outside the city. So one of the joys of this is that our founder, Christopher Fort, who's being honored this year as one of our grand marshals, has left a wonderful blueprint, kind of setting forth the regular tasks necessary just to get the structure in place every year. So it allows us more, it's like a coloring book. The lines are well drawn, and we just have to add the flair for the year.
Stephen, what's the you're a town councilor, you were saying, what's the role of the council in all of this?
So I'm serving on the LGBTQI plus commission as just a member of the public, not necessarily a member of council. Though we do have 2 spots reserved for council members to serve. Council in their role probably is more of a supportive role and helping to secure some funding and some support from the city side. So at our Monday council meeting, we did approve a resolution that would allow for the city to be the sponsor of Middletown Pride and provide services from the police department, the fire department, public works, parks, economic and community development, and our health department as well. And so sort of supporting in that role and just making sure that those essential services are provided to make sure that the event goes off well. But then also helping, hopefully in the future, continued funding for being able to contract out with the Chamber of Commerce as our partner to be able to do that logistic work for us, because it is a lot of work. And so that's mostly the role of what council does in all of this.
And I think it's really important to note the city's LGBTQI plus commission is established under an ordinance that was passed by the Common Council. And within that set of ordinances, the commission is charged to host Pride Fest as well as organize programs, perform advocacy throughout the year. And so through the leadership of the commission and our mayor, Ben Florsheim, we are actually under ordinance ordained to host Pride Fest for the benefit of the greater Middletown community.
Tell me about this year's. You said each year you have this template. What's the flavor? What are the spices you're adding this year? Let's start with the Grand Marshals.
Our two grand marshals are our founder, Christopher Fort, who, in addition to founding Middletown Pride, he works in the general counsel's office.
Sure.
I have a hard time remembering if he's assistant and deputy because he looms so large in my head. And Chris has been vital in helping set the tone of how the city government interacts and supports the broader LGBTQI2S plus community. In addition, I came out at work as a trans woman in 2022, and Chris was there to help me navigate so much of the process of city policy and just was so important in making me feel comfortable as a very open gay man who is kind of iconic in his commitment to the community. Speaking of iconic and committed to the community, our second Grand Marshal is Ace Ricker, who is an advocate, an educator, works extensively with Q+, focuses a lot on the well-being and health of queer youth throughout Connecticut. As part of Q+, Ace is an individual who helps run a series of 6 different programmings that Q+ hosts on behalf of Middletown Pride for Middletown residents. He oversees caregiver groups and facilitates the parents and caregiver support groups for Q+ in the area, and is also an amazing public speaker and so passionate in his very noble cause to protect queer youth and make sure they become strong queer adults.
We have an episode of Transqat coming up with Mel Cordner, who is Ace's partner in Q+. And Q+ comes up all the time on this show because of the work that they do. It's statewide, and it's admirable, but it's also fun. And the thing that I love about Q+ is that it starts with the youth. It starts with what for the kids, what do you want this to be? And we'll try to build that sort of a safe space for you rather than a top-down.
And I think it's worth noting that Q+ is so impactful that, yes, Mel Cordner, the executive director, was a previous Grand Marshal.
So those are the marshals. What else can we look forward to?
So can I just add one more thing for the
Please.
Grand Marshals? I think a couple of years ago, one of the things that we did was we set aside funding for the Grand Marshals to be able to make donations on their behalf. And so this year, I believe Ace is donating to Q+, and Christopher is donating to ACLU of Connecticut.
So that's our Grand Marshals. They'll be rolling down Main Street. Where do you get the vehicles for that, by the way? How do you decide what vehicle your Grand Marshals are going to be riding in? As someone who's never been a Grand Marshal, I've been working, by the way, on the Wave.
It's usually chosen in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, as well as our very generous local businesses who recognize how important it is to support Pride Fest. But other things to look forward to this Pride Fest. So last year we started doing dedicated programming spaces off of Main Street. And so that will continue this year with Triangle Community Center and Pure Pride, both running program spaces with different flavors of gender affirming programming in both locations, including legal ID clinics, affirming haircuts, clothing closets, and general information. We are slightly reducing the physical footprint of Middletown Pride, which is going to allow us to, frankly, maintain better physical security and safety for all the attendees. It's also prompting us to kind of focus. In the past, we've had multiple Pride Showcase concerts in different locations. And although that was a wonderful opportunity to showcase even more individual talents, it does split the focus of our attendees. And so we're consolidating back down to a single stage on the South Green, which will host not only the showcase concert, but our rally, which I'll speak to in a moment.
You are listening to WESU 88.1 FM, Middletown, Connecticut.
New for this year, we've had tremendous support and continue to receive support from the Middletown Police Department. But this year we will be supplementing law enforcement officers with members of River Valley Services Mobile Response Team. So these are trained counselors who are experts in de-escalation and giving aid. So these will be individuals who will be throughout the crowd who can help address concerns from attendees, also help communicate any concerns that need to be brought to the law enforcement officer's attention in a more efficient way than individuals calling 911, although folks are encouraged to still call 911 when needed. But they'll also be able to provide just general information on, if folks have to leave quickly, how to exit the area. They'll also be able to help the crowd navigate if there are protesters. One of the other initiatives that we are going for is a program called Taking Pride in Main Street. We want to really focus on the partnership that is Pride Fest. And part of that partnership are the wonderful and supportive businesses all along the downtown area. And although we often have these amazing vendors who come in for Pride Fest offering everything from small crafts to, food, to art, to jewelry, to books, we also want to give our Main Street businesses a spotlight to showcase how much they support the LGBTQIA2S+ community. So we will be holding actually free marketing seminars for local businesses so they know how to present themselves. And we're going to be highlighting businesses that are not only going to be open, but are going to be doing charitable donations during Pride Fest, because we really do want these businesses and these local constituents of Middletown to be able to shine in how much they support the community. Now, as to the Pride Fest, I think it's a good saying that, Pride is as much a demonstration as it is a celebration, which is something Chris Fort says often. And so we are very much focusing on our Pride rally, which will take place from 2:30 to 4 o'clock. We will be having, our scholarship awards where we award $10,000 to local queer youth who are going to college. We will be focusing on some of the good work our commission has done, but we will also be inviting individuals from Connecticut who are impactful and can share actionable information about the state of LGBTQIA2S+ rights, not only in Connecticut, but also in the country. And we will be hopefully providing guidance on what people can do to stay involved, active, and make positive change. And then we'll be having hours of music followed by an outdoor tea dance in a 21 and over area where we'll all be jamming. So yes, we will have a lot of focus on basically the knowledge needed to be an LGBTQI+ person in this day and age. But we will also still be respecting the fact that we need to celebrate our successes.
And that being aware of your rights, being aware of various processes such as name change has become more critical in the last few months, that where all of the rules seem to be changing. I can see where that's going to be necessary for folks. You brought up security. That also is an increased concern these days. There seems to be encouragement for bad behavior. And my experience at Middletown is that there are a couple of sort of regulars who more or less quietly and peacefully protest and are walking down the main street after the parade to make their views known, and that's as far as that goes. They're sort of an expected part of it at this point.
And
Well,
there is a big difference between peaceful and non-disruptive
right.
protesting and expression of First Amendment rights, which we respect. Should people become disruptive or a threat to public safety, we have protocols in place to de-escalate. That is always our first goal, is to, regardless of where you are coming from, we do not want to have that escalate. We want to make sure everyone's rights are respected and everyone's safety is preserved. And so we have many tools in place and protocols to address that. We do have, for those folks who want to have kind of a more formal and loud protest, we have designated zones so that these individuals are still in the public space, but are also not causing traffic concerns or blocking pedestrian sidewalks unduly.
If I were such a protester, where would I find out where those zones are? Should I reach out to Middletown Pride or to the police department? How would I go about finding
You can get information from us on middletownpride.org or email info@middletownpride.org. But our generally designated zone for free speech of that sort is actually at the end of the parade. Very close to the green, actually, where the majority of our rally will take place. Again, it is important to respect everyone's rights, the rights of many people to be there and to express support and pride, and those who wish to disagree.
Last year, I've tabled at the event a number of times, and last year I was recording with people, and a group of protesters showed up, and they had a bullhorn, maybe not a bullhorn, but a speaker of some sort, and then there were counter protesters surrounding them. So I went out and talked to them. I said, "Hey, look, I understand what you're doing, but I'm recording here, and you're making that impossible. Would it be possible for you to just move on down the road a little?" And they did. They were very respectful. I appreciated that, they understood what I was trying to do. And it was a very civil interaction, even though we had differences of opinion.
I'm glad you had that experience.
Talk a little bit about the vendors. You started listing off the different types of vendors. How many have you had in the past? How many are you anticipating this year? Did you get my application?
Stephen, do you want to address this?
Yeah. So I'm certain if you applied, we did get your application. I believe last year we had close to about 150 vendors. I think the expectation this year is we'll probably have closer to, I think, 130, just because we have a slight reduction in the footprint that we have. The variety of vendors that we have, it ranges from healthcare services to different news outlets, to people who just own queer businesses, to people who have queer, support service organizations. So my guess is if you want to find it, it's going to be there. And I don't recall, Bree, but do we put a list of every vendor out as we get closer to Pride, or no?
I believe we do. Our website is constantly being updated up until the festival to have current information, so that will be in process. And, when we talk about services, a lot of our vendors represent organizations that specialize in mental health, full body care, physical well-being. And historically, we have partnered between the Middletown Health Department, overseen by Director Kevin Elak, who is a huge supporter, Middlesex Health, I believe it's ACT UP, local pharmacies. We have provided STI screening where appropriate. We have provided vaccinations when available. And we are looking forward to identifying the biggest needs of the community right now in terms of medical services that we can offer. We are working with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, I believe it is, NAMI. They will be hopefully in attendance, and they will be doing some intake and suggestions for those people who want to avail themselves of their services. And they'll also have trained counselors. So we're really focused on making sure that what is present is of value to the attendees, and with a focus clearly on the LGBTQI2S plus attendees of our community. But we'll also have, hopefully, we had a local gaming store, which brought some amazing queer games. I picked up my copy of Thirsty Sword Lesbians from them last year, and I've been running it, and it's amazing.
Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Yes, it is a narrative role-playing game that focuses on character relationships and emotional conflicts rather than physical conflicts. But that's the type of stuff you'll find, is like you'll find books. Russell Library will likely be there giving away free materials again, which is wonderful.
Yes.
And then we'll have both local food vendors and folks coming in from out of town. And I think it's important to highlight that Middletown Pride as a whole is supportive of our community, which means that if you are an organization or business that supports the community, then there is no fee to march, there is no fee to vend, because this is about highlighting our community.
Do you have any vendors who are podcasters, for example?
I wonder.
Just asking. I mean, I understand there are all these different categories, so I'm just picking one at random. Could you recommend any vendors who would be dealing with podcasting?
Well, I think my friend Claire might be there hosting her Transqat podcast.
Oh, I can't wait to talk to her. She's great. I like her a lot.
Please, I truly hope that you're not developing multiple personalities in this conversation. I mean, we will have mental health professionals, but I think we would be stretching their resources to deal with an emergence.
With what I have going, yeah. Once we're done with this conversation, I'm going to reach out to Prism Counseling, which I'm sure will be there.
They will be there. And I think one of the largest draws at the end of the day, it's not necessarily the concert, it's not the vendors, it's not the rally. I think it's just the joy of being just openly present in a loving and supportive community, and being able to walk with your family, your chosen family, your friends, up and down a massive main street, and just being able to show the world that this is who I am and these are the people I love and this is what I care about, and to just live in that moment where you are fully present and fully yourself with thousands of other people who are doing the same and saying, I'm not alone. I am part of such a larger community. And I think that's the draw, because people come smiling before they even see any of the events or the vendors or the march. They come happy and full of energy because they're in a nurturing, safe place.
Particularly for queer youth, there are increasingly fewer spaces for them to do that. And the ability, I mean, you've seen this, you've both seen this an infinite number of times, that thing of strapping on the flag that speaks to your identity and wearing it as a cape. You can see the joy on their faces as they walk up and down Main Street after the parade, and just kind of almost like it's their superpower. It's and it's a chance to be seen.
In a lot of ways, it's tempting to say we're fortunate, because not only is Middletown a supportive community, again, this is all established under ordinance. This is the policy of our local government in representing all community members and all constituents, that we support everyone. And we can say that we're fortunate to live in a state which generally has very strong protective rights for queer and trans adults and youth. But I also feel that's misleading, because fortunate makes it seem like it happened on accident or due to luck, as opposed to the fact that we are actually fortunate to have so many strong advocates for our community, so many empowered young people who speak out and who testify at all levels of local government and state government, who are out there saying, I am here and I deserve to be treated with respect, and I want to help shape the policy that affects me and my cohort. And that's why we have such wonderful protections and acknowledgement of basic human rights and decency in this area, is because of all the advocacy work and all the tireless work that people do behind the scenes, at hearings, at local public meetings, advocating with larger groups and private organizations and universities. That's why we have this wonderful opportunity.
You are listening to WESU 88.1 FM, Middletown, Connecticut.
Did you know that a tiger can run as fast as 40 miles per hour? That's a fact. Did you know that tigers rock? That's an opinion. WESU has an amazing variety of public affairs shows which are chock full of facts and opinions, but we can only do it with your help. Please go to wesufm.org right now to donate so that these shows can continue to deliver you the truest facts and the freshest opinions. Thank you.
Hey, there's my son.
Hey, Dad.
What's wrong with your voice?
There is nothing wrong with my voice.
Well, it's just sort of...
Hello, Dad.
Susan? Guys, I think it's about time to get in the car and maybe see some green things.
What are these green things you speak of?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
At the city level, I'm wondering what you're seeing. What I'm hearing is that there's a lot of support in Middletown for what Middletown Pride is doing. But one of the imperatives that opponents of queer rights had after the 2020 election is to get involved at the local level and start pushing back against this. And here in Connecticut, over the last few years, we've seen that. We saw it in Enfield. We've seen it in other places where enough vocal people get into positions where they can try to disrupt this without naming any names or shaming anyone. Are you seeing that?
So at the moment, I don't think that there is a lot in Middletown that we're being challenged on directly at our local level. I do see a future where there's potential for new ordinances to be put into place where we might see some challenges from some members of the city council, but we're not there yet. And my hope is that they'll embrace any changes that come down the line. My hope is to engage with them and talk with them and help them see that at the end of the day, everything that Middletown Pride and everything that the queer community is advocating for is the same exact thing that they have and they want. So I will continue to make sure that I'm standing up for, the queer community and our trans community. And I will always keep that as my focus when I'm here. We have had one particular issue where we have had to, as a council, make a decision to say no, to not allow someone to serve, particularly on the LGBTQIA+ commission, based on the platform that they were giving to other individuals that were creating hate speech, particularly against the trans community. And so we've had those very specific incidences that we've had to deal with, but nothing on a large scale so far in Middletown. And I hope that that doesn't happen.
And when the council was making those decisions, there was a huge public presence making the needs of our community known. And the body as a whole certainly took that into account. But separate from government, I think it's also important to note that we have the support of the majority of the faith leaders in the downtown and greater Middletown area. They are welcoming and they are very supportive, and they help us run programming. anchor institutions in our community, like Wesleyan, like Middlesex Hospital and the Greater Middlesex Health, Liberty Bank, which is, a local fixture. The Russell Library, I think I might have already mentioned Wesleyan University, but I'll mention them again. We have large-scale institutions that recognize how important pride is, and separate from just the nobility of protecting people's rights. There's a really, at the end of the day, more, for some people, economically compelling argument to support pride. And I do credit this a lot to the Middlesex Chamber of Commerce, because, at the beginning of Pride Fest, when Larry McHugh was still the head of the chamber, it was very clear in the way he spoke about this that he understood that vibrant communities that are welcoming to everyone and provide safety and support to everyone, those vibrant communities are economically viable. And in a very real way, it's not performative. It's like you either get on board or you don't survive anymore. And I think even as we're seeing federal pressure through policies for corporations and businesses to shut out communities, that here it is clear that our businesses thrive the most when they open their doors and make everyone feel welcome. Not just with Middletown Pride, but with our Juneteenth rallies and celebrations, with our celebrations throughout the downtown area and our observations and support for multiple causes. The fact that we're so welcoming as a community keeps us strong.
The attack on DEI that's coming from the White House puts a lot of us into the same category, if you will, that all of the marginalized groups that they are targeting, the queer community, the Black community, feminist community, right on down the line, we have common ground. And even, within Pride, and I was wondering if maybe we could speak to that, the efforts to meld civil rights based on race with LGBTQ Pride.
One of the things that I like to keep in mind about Pride, about general advocacy, is that the liberation of one group is the liberation of all. Fighting for bodily autonomy, for personal freedoms, it's not and never should be just about, I deserve this because I'm this social identity. It's I deserve this, as we all do, because we are human beings. And so, although at Pride and at our rally and at Pride Fest, we are focused on the struggles and successes of the LGBTQI2S+ community, what we're fighting for is for everyone's freedoms, liberation, autonomy, and independence. There isn't a limiting factor on making sure that people are safe, secure, and treated correctly in our culture and our country. It just is the focus of the struggles and successes we talk about will be on our LGBTQI2S+ community. But I like to remind everyone that if we're fighting for access to healthcare, it's not just for one group of people. If we're fighting for bodily autonomy or access to open education, if we are fighting for policies that protect people against discrimination and prejudice and violence, we are fighting to protect everyone's rights to that. If we are advocating for bills that protect libraries and make it difficult to challenge materials that are described experiences and histories of a given social identity, we are fighting for everyone's literature. It's not limited to just people who look like you or love like you or who believe just like you do. It's for everyone.
We are all in this together, and that's how we survive, is by recognizing that we need each other.
And that's one of the most important messages that I like to try to impart, especially when I talk about allyship. There's a lot of different ways to phrase what an ally is, but And I think it becomes clearer and clearer with every policy or executive order that's targeting one group and erasing one group's history and then another group's, that ultimately the precedent set by denying any one group's rights, any one group's autonomy, that's a precedent that will be used against everyone. And so ultimately, I don't consider that other folks are allies. They're just other people in the same exact fight, fighting for the exact same rights, even though they're not currently being targeted, because they're the next to come up.
And I imagine it helps that Middletown is a city, so there is racial diversity already there. It is a college town with Wesleyan, where you've got the people are aware that there's the student base, and that's different from some of the smaller town prides across the state, where there's a bit more homogeneity, and it's sort of virtue signaling in some ways for some of these folks. We're going to do this, with the best of intentions to show that we are anti-homophobes, anti-transphobes, but it is baked into your community.
Middletown is a very diverse community, not only in terms of racial and ethnic backgrounds, sexual identities, gender identities, religious identities, economic diversity, status of citizenship. We have a lot of folks who come from very diverse backgrounds, and it is a wonderful place where sometimes it's a melting pot and sometimes it is a sampling of many different cultures that remain distinct. But celebrating and acknowledging those diverse cultures has definitely become, since I moved here in 1995, one of the defining characteristics of the city, acknowledging and celebrating our rich history and acknowledging it. And that's, again, it's not only because of who is here, but it's because of the people who fought for it. Nothing here was given. It's all been fought for, sometimes with polite words, sometimes with a little bit more direct action. But nothing here is accidental. This is by design and through the efforts of community members, of constituents, of activists, of elected officials, of bureaucrats. We have the community we build.
That metaphor you used, Tom Chapin, Harry Chapin's brother, is also a musician, kind of focused on family music for most of his career, has a great song that puts out that his town is not a melting pot. His town is a salad bowl. And every ethnicity, every race, every, individual group brings its own flavor and texture. Just tossing that out there.
Just tossing the salad bar out there, okay. Well, I don't think many people have a salad spinner, so I'm not going to.
I do.
Oh, Mr. Popeil, you've gotten another one. Is that too dated a reference?
I didn't catch it, but
Mr. Popeil?
I don't know who that is.
We can have an entire Transqat episode about TV mass marketing.
Okay, but I can't just leave it there. I need to know who Mr. Popeil is now.
This is one of those things where I have to make sure that I have not fully invented this out of wholesale imagination, which I've been accused of doing. Ron Popeil, according to Wikipedia, was a inventor and founder of the direct response marketing company Ronco.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, Mr. Popeil was often on the late night commercials selling you devices like a salad spinner to improve your life.
Knives that could cut through tin cans.
Devices that could cook an egg, as opposed to devices you already have in your kitchen that could cook an egg.
Because for centuries, we had all just sort of walked around staring at them thinking, what do I do?
Until Mr. Popeil and Ronco, I just assumed that one was to eat eggs raw.
Yeah.
Shell and all.
Very uncomfortable.
You are listening to WESU 88.1 FM, Middletown, Connecticut.
What will make everyone comfortable is that we have a tentative schedule of performers for our Pride Showcase concerts, which Stephen has been working on putting together. And I think Stephen would be the right person to discuss it.
We're pretty excited this year. Unfortunately, we did consolidate and have one stage, so we do have less entertainment, but that doesn't mean it won't be as dynamic. We have this year, we're going to do 3 hours of entertainment. The first hour will be drag artists. The second hour will be a variety show where we'll have hopefully an acoustic band. We'll have a singer. We'll have a dance show. We'll have, I believe, a rap artist as well. And then that third hour, we'll have drag artists yet again. I believe the goal this year is 4 hosts that we'll be able to have. So we'll be able to rotate out who's hosting each hour, as well as, I believe, just about 30 drag artists of various different types of drag, from comedy to high energy dance. I think we also have somebody who will also be singing as well. So I think there's a lot of excitement to look forward to. We put an emphasis on hiring drag artists and entertainers who live in the Middletown area first. From there, we went to outside of Connecticut. And if we had additional spaces, we would have in Connecticut. If we had additional, we would have looked outside of Connecticut. But we don't seek anybody for our spots. We have an application process where they do apply, and then the full commission votes on who is going to be performing. And so we did that, I believe, at our last meeting, actually. So hopefully everybody says yes.
And I'm assuming that once everything is locked in place, this will all be on the website.
Yep. Every year we've done a social media blast highlighting who's hosting and who's performing. And so going to our Facebook page, our Instagram page is a great way to see who's going to be performing at the shows.
And speaking of drag performances, this Middletown Pride is actually being honored on Saturday, April 19th, during the crowning ceremony at Shea Est for the new MX Shea Est 2025 ruler. We will be honored with the William Musfanti Humanity Award by the Board of Directors of the Shea. And many of the performers and hosts have spent time at that fabled institution in Hartford, who have been big supporters of us in the past. And it's a wonderful dovetail for us to be able to be acknowledged for our contributions to the greater LGBTQI2S+ community in the midst of this amazing collection of drag performances.
What have I forgotten to ask? What else do we want to make sure to mention? Did I happen to mention that Middletown fits into the metric scheme of the Mickey Mouse Show song? I don't remember if I mentioned that. Did I? Because I can sing it again if you want.
So you forgot to mention it, but you do want to sing it again.
Yeah. Only if I'm not alone. And it would seem that I'm alone in this. So, okay. But what else? What else have we skipped over?
Stephen, do you want to talk a bit about the actual LGBTQI+ commission and potential openings and how folks can become involved?
So I was going to say the only thing that I would add would be just to sort of thank the commission for all the work that they've been putting in, and Bree for really stepping up this year and helping get Middletown Pride organized and running what feels very smoothly, which is great. The commission, I think we are charged with a lot, and Bree has recently reminded me that we do have other responsibilities that we should be looking into, and I'm very excited to bring that to our commission. But one of the things that we focus on a lot is events just year round. And so we do have, I believe, every quarter or every 2 months, we have a game night that's put on by 2 of our commissioners, Katie and Dolly. They work again with Back Again board game, and they're creating a safe space for the queer community to just play board games. And I believe it's on Mondays around 6. That's probably one of our most popular and reoccurring events that happens. But we do all kinds of other events as well. We have recently done 2 legal clinics to support one of our local churches to help people get name change documents, passports, and all, legal documents in order and get them some legal advice. We were very successful, I believe, with our February event. We had one person who also got married at said event, which is great because they had a pastor as well as a justice of the peace, which was actually me, available to perform marriages. They chose the pastor, which is fine. Not upset about that. They got married, and that's all that mattered. And there's a lot of opportunity for more events, and so you don't necessarily have to be a commissioner to have a Pride event. The ask would be that you work with a commissioner so it can get on our agenda, so an event can happen. I would highly encourage anybody who's interested in doing something that's the route to go. And then I believe we have 2 vacancies on our commission, but only one of them could be currently filled. So if there's anyone who lives in Middletown and is registered outside of the Democratic Party, there is a vacancy available. And we would ask that you just reach out to myself, Bree, or the mayor's office, and we can talk about how that might go.
Are there, either at the Pride event or in this programming year round, one of the other groups that is being targeted, obviously, are the undocumented. And there seems to be a lot of trying to help folks prep for what if ICE shows up at your door or your workplace or your church. Do we meld with that at all?
We don't currently have any initiatives that are specifically targeting undocumented individuals or even legal immigrants who are currently being mistakenly targeted. What I will say is that our events, which include community dinners and sex ed and just social gatherings and safe spaces, they're open to everyone. And we don't require you to be a Middletown elector to come and participate in the Middletown Pride events. Some of our events that are hosted by our partners, like Peer Pride under the Transhaven banner or Q+, are intended specifically for either transgender/gender expansive individuals for the Peer Pride events or for youth and teens for the Q+. But the Middletown Pride sponsored events directly that we run are open to everyone. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of folks for a number of reasons who are fleeing other areas of the country to come to Connecticut. Many of them end up in or around Middletown. And it is difficult to hear the stories from folks who have fled persecution within the United States. It's difficult to hear about the concerns they had for the safety of their children and their loved ones. And it's difficult to hear about what they had to sacrifice and leave behind to get to somewhere safe. But it's rewarding to see them come and make community and make connections here, and frankly, have access to a warm meal and be treated as just another member of the community who's welcome, as opposed to a refugee or someone who has been ousted from what used to be their home. And for that, that overlaps with everybody.
And I think it's fair to say that we are not a utopia for any of these groups, people fleeing their states for reproductive autonomy or because of immigration status or trans kids and their families. Or
because they don't want to be arrested for using the bathroom that aligns with who they are.
Exactly. We are not perfect. There needs to be more in terms of an infrastructure for supporting you, but we want you here. We want to help, and we have these groups that are ready to do what they can, whatever is necessary to help you. So a plea to those of you who are in states that are not supporting you: Connecticut's not perfect, but we want you.
I'll just add one more thing about all of our events that I think is really exciting. Everything that Middletown Pride does is free.
Ooh.
We do not charge attendees to attend. We raise a lot of money And part of that is so that we don't have to have a financial barrier for people to attend our events. And so just wanted to plug that real quick.
That is absolutely wonderful and positive, and one of the great things about our events, that they are that open.
Free is my favorite price. It's, if you were to list the top 10 prices, free would have to be right up at the top for me.
Now, one of the important things we do try, kind of getting back into the viability that I was mentioning about communities, is that we do communicate and check in with the folks who come to our events. Specifically, we follow up with a series of surveys because we want to know what was good, what was lacking, what general services they need, but also, do they feel safe and welcome here? Because we cater our programming not to what the commissioners want to do, but what is needed in the community. Events that are very successful, we tend to run again. Events that were okay, but didn't really meet the needs of the community, we don't continue. But we capture these numbers, these metrics, because we use them as an organization that seeks grants. And we use it to gauge and make sure that we are doing our job, which is serving the LGBTQI2S+ community. And we can't do that without ongoing and constant feedback from our community members. And yes, I know throughout this conversation, I often say community without really being specific if I'm, referring to the LGBTQI2S+ community or the Middletown community, because it's all my community.
Parting words.
Middletown.
Middletown. Then we would just need a word that rhymes with Middletown. But
Fairgrounds.
Forever located on the fairgrounds. No, that doesn't work. But we'll keep working on it. This has potential, my friends. Don't throw it away.
That's our second edition.
We have until we have until next month. So there's plenty of time for us to work out the kinks.
Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda for our next official meeting, and then we'll just continue to table it.
Thanks to Bree and to Stephen for this conversation. Next week, we're featuring the Grand Marshals of Middletown Pride 2025, Ace Ricker and Chris Fort. Also coming up in this series, I'll be talking with members of the LGBTQ+ Justice and Opportunity Network about the evolving language of SOGI, a panel of librarians about censorship and drastic funding cuts, and representatives of some of the state's pride centers about their services and programs. This has been Transqat. I'm Claire McCarthy. Thank you for listening. Let's talk soon.
This is Sadie McCarthy. I'm Claire's niece.
And you've just been listening to Transqat. It is made by one of my favorite people in the world, Claire McCarthy.
Transqat is a production of Transqat Enterprises, LLC.
Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.
Join us on the web at transqat.com.
That's TRANSQAT.com.
QAT.com.
QAT.com. There you'll find links to Transqat, the blog,
writing projects,
speaking engagements,
and our PayPal donations page.
Please consider supporting our mission with your monkeys.
Your monies.
Your monies.
Not monkeys.
Please consider supporting our mission with your monies. Any monkeys will be gratefully received as well.
Follow Transqat on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
On TikTok, we are at The Real Transqat.
Want to tell your story on air?
or ask Claire a question.
What is the deal?
She has all the answers.
Or suggest a guest or topic for an upcoming episode.
Use the contact page at the website
or email her directly at crmtranscat@gmail.com.
crmtranscat@gmail.com.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Bye.